Mr. Speaker, municipalities rely on provincial grants in lieu of taxes to pay for the municipal services that provincially owned facilities use. The previous government's budget included cutting the grants in lieu program on social and senior housing facilities, since, despite municipal concerns, this government kept that cut in place. To the Minister of Seniors, how does she justify the province dodging responsibility and sticking taxpayers with the bill by transferring the cost for provincial social housing onto municipalities?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much to the member for the question. And he's quite right. It was the previous government who made the decision to cut this funding, and we haven't been able to restore every cut the previous government has made. But we do know that now is the time to invest in infrastructure like roads and bridges, and that's what we're doing, and that is a significant support to municipalities. We're working with them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, that didn't precisely answer the question. Last month, the AUMA Mayor's Caucus met with the Housing Minister. The Minister refused to reinstate this grant program. This hits municipalities hard. For example, Calgary, a $5 million loss. Lethbridge, a $913,000 loss. Now some municipalities are considering a moratorium on approving any further social and senior housing in their communities. Will the Minister admit they made a mistake and announced today the return of the grants in lieu of taxes program?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. So the unprecedented collapse in the oil price means that we need to make fiscally responsible decisions. Unfortunately, we're not are in a position to approve every request for funding. Our government is proud of our relationship with municipalities and the investments we're making in these communities, and we're working well with our partners.
Mr. Speaker,
Second supplemental.
This NDP government has seen no issue with drastically raising taxes on Albertans. Increased business tax, increased income taxes, and the NDP PST carbon tax have all resulted in Albertans handing over more and more of their hard-earned money to this government, to the Premier. Provincial facilities have cost impacts on municipalities, yet this government refuses to pay when it's their turn. Does the Premier think that it is fair that this government refuses to pay its fair share?
Honourable Premier.
Well, Mr. Speaker, to begin with, let me just be very clear that Alberta continues to have the lowest taxes in the country of any province. Secondly, that will remain the case because we know now is not the time for more to come out. But it's very interesting watching the folks over there because, you know, Mr. Speaker, one day is a spending day, the next day is a cutting day, the next day is a $1 billion cut day, the next day is a $1 billion spend day. You know, we just cannot possibly keep track of whether you want us to spend or cut, spend or cut. The Minister made a very good point. You need to be responsible. We need to manage our finances prudently. We can't say yes to everything, and we're going to move forward on that basis.
Thank you.